You open the conversation again, not to reply, just to read it. You already know what it says. You could recite it from memory, word for word, including the exact placement of that one period that felt colder than it should have. But some part of you keeps scrolling back up anyway, searching for something that was never written, an apology. It doesn't come. It didn't come last week either. And somewhere inside you, a quiet question keeps circling. Not why did they do that, but something closer to why can't I stop checking. This is not really about the message. It's about what your mind does when something is left open and no one else is willing to close it. Start with the small moment. You're doing something else entirely. Maybe washing a dish, maybe waiting for a bus, when a detail arrives out of nowhere. A notification, a name in a group chat, a date on your calendar that used to mean something, and suddenly you're back there, replaying the scene with the kind of clarity that only unfinished things seem to have. Psychologists have a name for why unfinished moments stay so vivid. In the 1920s, a researcher named Bluma Zegarnik noticed something strange while watching waiters in a Berlin cafe. They could remember complicated, unpaid orders in perfect detail. But the second a bill was settled, the memory of it evaporated almost instantly. She took that observation into the lab and found the same pattern held for people generally. Tasks left incomplete are remembered far better than tasks that reach an ending. Your mind, it turns out, treats an open loop like a light left on in another room. It doesn't forget about it. It just keeps a low hum of attention running in the background, waiting for someone to switch it off. An apology that never comes is one of the most stubborn versions of that open loop. It isn't a task on a list. It's a moment your mind is still trying to file away correctly. And it can't, because the other person walked away before the filing was finished. So notice what you actually want here. It's easy to assume you want the apology for the words themselves, some tidy sentence you could screenshot and keep. But that's rarely the real need. What you're actually looking for is confirmation. Proof that what happened, happened. Proof that the way it hurt you was reasonable, not something you invented or exaggerated. An apology, at its core, is another person agreeing with your version of events. Without it, that agreement never arrives, and your mind is left holding a memory it cannot fully verify. This is where something quietly uncomfortable starts to happen. When an explanation doesn't come from the outside, your mind doesn't simply sit with the blank. It builds one. In 1957, a psychologist named Leon Festinger described a feeling he called cognitive dissonance, the discomfort that shows up when two things you believe don't fit together. You believe you didn't deserve to be treated that way. You also believe, somewhere underneath, that people you trust don't hurt you without a reason. When no reason is offered, those two beliefs grind against each other, and the mind, uncomfortable with the friction, looks for a way to smooth it out. Sometimes it smooths it out by deciding the other person is simply careless, or unwell, or incapable of accountability. That version keeps you innocent, but it also keeps the wound raw, because it offers no path back to trust. Other times, and this is the version that does more quiet damage, the mind resolves the tension by turning the explanation inward. Maybe you were too sensitive. Maybe you should have said it differently. Maybe you're remembering it worse than it actually was. None of this is because you're weak or irrational. It's because a self-authored explanation, even a harsh one, feels more stable to the brain than an unanswered question. Blaming yourself is uncomfortable. But it is a kind of comfort too. because at least it gives the story an ending. This is the moment the anatomy starts to reveal its shape. A visible symptom, the rereading, the replaying, the mental rehearsal of conversations that will probably never happen, is not the actual problem. It's a signal pointing towards something underneath it, an unmet need for acknowledgement met instead with a manufactured explanation that often costs you more than the original moment did. And once that explanation is in place, a loop begins to reinforce itself. Every time you replay the scene, you're not neutrally remembering it, you're rehearsing it, and each rehearsal strengthens the version currently stored, whether that version is accurate or not. A researcher named Susan Nolan Hoeksema spent much of her career studying this kind of repetitive thinking, which she called rumination. Her work found that dwelling on a distressing event without new information or new action doesn't resolve distress. It tends to deepen it. The mind believes it's problem-solving. It's turning the same three details over and over, looking for an angle it missed. But without new input from the other person, from new evidence, from anywhere, there's nothing left to find. The loop isn't investigation, it's repetition wearing the costume of investigation. Here's the part that rarely gets said out loud. This isn't really about whether the other person eventually says sorry. Even if they did right now today in the exact words you imagined, the moment wouldn't fully dissolve the way you expect. Because by then, you've already been carrying the loop for weeks, months, maybe longer, and the loop itself has started shaping how you see yourself. You've started narrating your own trustworthiness, your own memory, your own reactions, as if they're on trial. That's the real cost. Not the absence of two words, the slow erosion of trusting your own account of what happened to you. So where does the loop actually break? Not where you'd expect. Not in a dramatic conversation where the other person finally understands what they did. Most of the time, that conversation doesn't happen, and waiting for it keeps the open loop open indefinitely. The break happens somewhere quieter, the moment you stop treating the apology as the only valid ending to the story. Closure in most of the research on grief and unresolved relationships doesn't turn out to be something someone else hands you. It's something you construct on your own timeline, often without any external confirmation at all. That doesn't mean forcing forgiveness or pretending the hurt wasn't real. It means allowing your own account of what happened to be enough, even without a second signature on it. This is genuinely hard to do, because it goes against a very old instinct, the one that says an unresolved threat deserves ongoing vigilance. Your mind isn't malfunctioning when it keeps circling back. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do with anything left unfinished. The work isn't forcing it to stop. It's giving it a different kind of ending, one that doesn't depend on someone else's willingness to provide it. You open the conversation one more time. The words are exactly the same as they were the first 100 times you read them. But something about the way you're looking at them has changed. You're not searching anymore. You already have everything you need to know about what happened, and for the first time, that's enough. You close it, not because the message changed, but because you did.